Hey everyone, in the video today we're going to head out into the lush rainforest and try and capture a scene of the beautiful trees here in Woodland. You can check out the link below if you want to pick up a few more tips on composition. Alright, let's get into it. It's one of those days where there's no atmosphere, pretty much a blue sky day. And at the moment I've been kind of working on a series of forest and tree images. So with the weather being as it is, it's actually not a bad time to get into the forest, just finding a section that's in the shade, which is not too hard to do here in these steep valleys in Woodland. So I'm just going down a valley now that I visit quite often. There's quite a few streams and cascades in here, and they're always changing just depending on what the rain's been doing and the snow melt. So we'll go see what we can find, but just hopefully we'll find something. I guess if I don't, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But yeah, I just want to see what jumps out at me. I definitely don't have any preconceived ideas, and to be fair, with the forest, you can't really do that because, you know, I think you're going to set yourself up for failure. So we'll see. It's tricky with the light, like we're in the shade, but the moss does look spectacular with just a little bit of edge lighting on it, or even backlight. So we'll maybe try and position ourselves somewhere. Essentially, we're probably just going to park the car and then just start going for a walk through the forest, and hopefully something jumps out at us. The light here is my least favourite in the forest. This is what you want to avoid. So that's basically direct light, front light hitting the trees. And the problem with that is you've just got an assortment of light everywhere all through the scene, and it's very hard in an image to direct the eye. So I'm either looking for side light or, to be honest, preferably backlight or just no light at all. But if that's happening, I'm not touching it. I'm going nowhere near it. The problem is that sometimes it looks good to the eye when you see all that light hitting the greens and the ferns. But yeah, in an image, you can't direct the eye because there's too many spots of light everywhere. So definitely getting away from this, get in the shade. All right, just pulled up. There's a little creek down here which we had floods a couple of years ago, which unfortunately ruined a lot of these awesome creeks that I'd like to explore. But I noticed this one recently and it's not too bad, so I think we might follow that. We'll go for a walk and hopefully get an image where it can combine some of the forest with the water, with the stream. See what we find. The forest is a place where I'll often bring every lens I have because you just never know what type of frame you're going to find. So different to if I'm shooting a mountain scene or something like that. But I know the times that if I've gone out in the forest with one specific lens, it typically will end up being the lens that I don't want. So definitely just bringing the 3 lenses along today. It's actually a nice frame right there. That big fern coming out. Keep that in mind for later, actually. Go for a walk. So I was drawn to the creek initially, but all along the creek edge is damage from the flood, so it's quite messy down there. It's come up now into this section with the crown ferns. Like, look how amazing the ground is. It just cleans up the scene. But what I always look for in the forest is some kind of characteristic tree that works as the main subject. All these trees, the beech, the silver beech, they're all kind of the same, so nothing's jumping out. So we'll keep walking and we'll see what we find. For me, the forest scenes, forest photography is just so different to, I guess, probably what I'm normally drawn to, which is more dramatic scenery. The forest is slowing down and just being an observer. There's no big dominant thing that will often grab your attention. It's slowing down and taking the time to observe and find and enjoying all those different details. In reality, you can walk 10 meters and potentially pass 10 different images, all different compositions and subject matter. So yeah, definitely slowing down, taking it in. The forest is a place to me that I love coming to just as a place to unwind, especially if it's been a busy week or whatever you're dealing with at home. The forest really has a way of renewing you and kind of bringing everything back into perspective. Like, look at this metal structure. Why is this? It's obviously been brought in from the floods, but still. That's so random. I can hear the main river off in the distance. I've got the creek over that side, but yeah, I can just hear the river out there. So I might start to work towards that direction and have a look. I would love to find somewhere to combine the river with a tree arching over. Just even the branch of the tree with the blue water behind it. Much easier said than done. Beautiful. Big ancient arms. I don't think it's going to work in a composition, but just spectacular. Wow. You know, you don't even need a photograph. It's just seeing this stuff. Paradise. Wow, there's a nice opening back here where the mountain is catching the light with this tree arching over, and then obviously the tree and river leading into the back. All right. Interesting cascades down there, but the forest, it's the one place that really makes me feel like I'm the worst photographer in the world because it's so beautiful. There's so many amazing spots right here, but it's so hard to find the actual still shot. When you're doing a video or something, or you're here looking at it, you've got that whole three-dimensional experience. And then with photography, you've got one frame. How do you encompass it all? Such a challenge. Get the camera out. Not seeing it. Might have to keep on walking. It's actually nice to be pushed, you know, instead of just having it spoon fed to you. That's what the forest does. It makes you actually really think. Obviously you can get frustrated, but as long as you don't allow yourself to get frustrated, it's actually really nice to be in deep thought and looking at every single detail. I just don't think anything's going to work here. That light is incredible. Might be a bit too messy to be honest. This spot anyway, go up a little bit further. We've got the light now and the difference that makes to the moss, but also as a way to pull the eye through the image, but it's soft light, it's diffused, and it's all in the background. It's very soft and gentle. We've got the cascades down there as well. Just can't quite see a frame though. A bit too chaotic. Might have to follow the river up further. Just gonna get the lens out now, the mid-range. See what I can do back here. There's all the elements are there with the light. Sometimes you need to look through the lens, particularly if it's a zoom lens, find a composition. Quite a few things happening here which I really like. It's just, can we compose it, put it all together? We've got that beautiful branch, the cascade. Further down is that other big tree with the soft light on it, and even off to the right, these guys are catching the light. The light just brings it all to life and gets me inspired. Can we make it work in an image? Man, I hope so. Sometimes it could be too much going on. I was hoping to utilise this big guy with the Cascade, but the tree's just blending in to that background. There's no separation. I think the best composition's down there, looking up. So there's so many elements here that I like, particularly that gentle side light on these big trees, the beautiful river as well. And then in the background, there's a solitary tree right up in the middle. I want to lead the eye through the scene. One issue though is the big open expanse of sky. So what I'm going to hopefully do is go back into these trees here and utilize one of these trees to close in some of that sky so it's not a big negative space. But then that way I'm still able to incorporate all of that background. So I'm looking for something now to get rid of that blue up there. So it's these trees that I really like. I like telling the story of them, obviously the river as well, and then just kind of leading the eye through the scene. The problem at the moment is I just don't think I'm doing the trees justice with this frame. So I'm doing bracketing at the moment for that big dynamic range. But yeah, the trees, not quite doing them justice, so I'll move back down. So I wasn't able to get under a tree like I thought in order to block that sky, but I found this composition here that I really enjoy, and it's getting the sky in, but there's a section of high cloud up there and it's catching the light. And I think it's actually a nice combination, combining the river, the rocks, of course those trees, and then just that sliver of sky. It's something I don't really have in the portfolio, combining all of that together. So I really like this shot, and it's not what I was expecting to capture when we first started out, but I really like the way that that's come together. So when it comes to the settings, I've obviously got a huge depth of field. I've got the rock here right in front of me, plus everything else in the distance. So I've closed the f-stop down to f13, and then I'm bracketing as well. So 3 different exposures at different shutter speeds. The main reason for the bracket is to make sure I'm getting those highlights in that sky, and then my slow shutter on the water there. So it's ISO 200, and then I'm sitting on, at the moment, 15th of a second, and then it's doing one at 0.4 seconds, which is actually surprisingly still coming out sharp. And then there's a faster one, which I won't use. I just need the 2 exposures there for shadows and highlights. And I'm at 24 mil as well. This is the 12 to 24. If I go too wide, it's just getting too much of that sky and all this water down here. 24's just pulling everything in and allowing me to, what I think, get the right balance of all these elements. So this is definitely my favorite composition so far, or the only one that I'm kind of enjoying. Coming back further has allowed me to pick up this beautiful tree on the right. We've got that mist back there, which is slightly being diffused by that light. We're pretty much on sunset now. Got that gentle light back there. And now I'm using this rock here as a counterbalance and a gentle guiding line. So I'm on the wide angle. It's just trying to find the right ratio here of water, sky, and trees. And then doing the bracketing, that dynamic range. We might have something, guys. All right, everyone, thank you for checking out the video. If you have any questions at all, just leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in the next video.